Hi, and welcome everyone to another episode of Gaming with Jason. I am your host, Jason. If you are into MMOs, strategy games, and simulation games, then this is definitely the channel for you. My favorite are MMOs, and today we're going to be talking about Conflict of Nations, World War III. I am on the Apocalypse version of Conflict of Nations, and it is a special event, so that means that I can research anything and everything I want up to the max without any restrictions. Today, we are going to be talking about how to get a fast start with Conflict of Nations when you first start. As you see here, I am on day 3. I kind of want to give you a little bit of a disclaimer before I get started because, getting off to a fast start, it does have its pros and it has its cons. The cons are that by day 25 or 30, you might already have 1,500 points. By that point in time, you've got to wait another 20, 25 days before the rest of your coalition catches up as they slowly putter along, and you're sitting there stuck constantly checking into the server waiting for it to end. Otherwise, if you don't, then they will boot you and eat you, and then you're kind of screwed. And so, as an aggressive player like I am, and like a few players that I run across from time to time, when you get off to a fast start, this is the thing that you have to start thinking of. And, just from personal experience, I have gotten frustrated to the point where I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take the solo win, and my coalition members will threaten to nuke me, and then they'll all come together to attack me, but they couldn't come together to attack anybody else throughout the whole game. But yet, oh my God, you're going to take my win away from me. So you got to realize you're going to deal with all these people that are entitled to a win, that think that they deserve a win, when in reality you're the one carrying them. And so there's got to be a little bit of frustration, and you need to prepare for that at the end of the game if you decide to take this style. Now, what are the pros? Well, actually, hold on. I want to talk about one more negative about it, is that in order to keep the machine going, you are resource dependent. You have to continuously attack and continuously expand, and the faster you expand, the more resources that you can get to be able to keep up with your production. Okay. Now the pros of it are, well, yes, you're gonna get a lot of resources. As you see, I am on day 3. I am Mexico. I'm getting 176 an hour in supplies, 116 in components, 82 in gas, 58 in electronics, and as you see, I'm getting 74. Now, the one advantage that Mexico has, if you're considering, well, do I want to be Mexico? The advantage of being Mexico is that you are going to be rare metals heavy. As you can see here, I have one here, and then I have another one up over here somewhere. There's another rare, and you see, oh, there it is right there. And then as you see, I also have gas. So if you want to be in a resource-rich country, honestly, Mexico is way better than I thought it was. And this is going to go into your strategy. You have to pick a decent country in order to get off to that fast start. Because if you choose a country that is got lopsided resources, or that you don't start off, you need to have a minimum of 6 cities. There are some on here that'll give you 5. I like to go with 7. I think I've got I got 6 or 7 cities in this one. Also choosing which doctrine that you're going to use. If you are using the European doctrine, it's about speed, it's about being quick. If you are using the American doctrine, it's all about air power and creating that dome so that your people can move about and take land freely, because your air power takes care of everything. So that's going to also come into part of your strategy if you're trying to figure out how to get a fast start. Some of the countries that I like to start with is Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Philippines, Spain, and Germany. Okay, those are the best ones to start with, because usually the noobs, or first person on the server, it's very rare that you can get Russia, China, or the United States. India is more available now. Out of the big four, those are the big four that, like, if you get an experienced player behind the wheel of the big four, you might as well just peg him as one of the winners of the game, unless he just really doesn't know what he's doing. And the benefit of having China and the United States and Russia is the amount of cities. But the problem with Russia is you have vast territory. I think I had a guy complain to me and said he had 17 countries that were bordering him all at once that could completely attack him. Whereas the United States, you're stuck in the Western Hemisphere. You're out of the action. If you want to take the time to build, but the thing is that there's not a lot of resources. You have to take over Mexico all the way down to Panama in order to be able to have some sort of good resource production. And China is good. China will give you a lot of resource production. Although I prefer Japan. I mean, Japan and China pretty much have very similar resource output. And the thing is this is going to go into your decision on how am I going to start off fast. And again, you need to be able to make sure that your resources, you need to understand what your country is dictated towards. So let's get into this a little bit more. A lot of people ask me, well, what do you research first? So let's go into my technology. All right. As you see, first thing I do is I research infantry, and I'm going to just keep building and building and building and upgrading. The next thing I do is I go after recon vehicles. Recon vehicles are what I start with, but I like to go down here to in the Americans called the Bradleys, but they're the AFVs here on the Western and Eastern Doctrine. The amphibious, it's too expensive, and if you look at a cost-benefit analysis, amphibious, unless you're that type of player, it's fluff. It's sparkles. It's not as great as it may sound, unless you're trying to work your strategy a specific way, which there are instances where you want to use it. But what I will end up doing is I will end up getting to the main battle tank. And the reason why I go with this versus this is because this I can already get an airlift. This, as you see right here, I have the airlift. That's important. Here I don't have the airlift. I have to get all the way. I have to get here. Okay, so in the European doctrine, you get air power. Now in the you get airlift much quicker. Whereas if you're using the American doctrine, you can't do airlift till here. Okay, and the thing is you have to create a network of air bases. So for example, one of the things that I will want to do, so I have an air base here, and I'm going to end up having an air base in each one of my cities, okay? But also, I'm going to want an air base probably in San Francisco, and I am probably going to want another one in, where is St. Louis? There in St. Louis, okay? The thing is the way that the air bases are set up is, if you look, the way that the dome goes, as you can see, and then if you're up here, then the dome. And so what you want to do is, with your airbase networks, you see the radius and the range, you want to be able to have them slightly overlap, and then that way you can have your air power get anywhere you want. Okay, now the next thing that I did, and also just to get back on the network of air bases, part of the reason why you want those air bases and you want to keep them close to the front lines is so that you can quickly reinforce. Because if you have an air base in all of your cities, and let's say you're going all the way over here, okay, so I own Hawaii here, but let's say I want to come over here and I want to start attacking in this area. if I want to be able to get there quickly, because it's all about speed, how quickly can you get there? How quickly can you reinforce? Because the thing is your first wave might get wiped out, but your second wave will finish them off. And the quicker you can get that second wave. So what I would do is something like taking this little island here. I think this is Guam. So taking Guam, that way I have a buffer zone here, and plus I bring my naval air patrol in here, and now I can create all kinds of havoc here. So creating your air bases is important. And then let's say I want to, because you don't want to create a lot of air bases here. You want to preserve the air bases here, and I'll tell you how to do that here in just a minute. But, for example, with a good air network, I'm probably going to put an air base here if I take China, and then I'm probably going to put one here, and I'd probably want to put one here, and I'd want to preserve some of these air bases down here. But as you see, if I take this city and this is my new front line, I build an air base here because I'm moving this direction, and so therefore, like, it would help me get into Mongolia and get into Kazakhstan and so on and so forth. Okay, and this is why you want to have a network of air bases, and why the units that you choose are important, because you want to be able to airlift them anywhere you go. Whereas with the recon vehicle, you can do that, and you can slowly build up your tanks. Like I said, all you have to do is get it to a level 4 in the European, whereas the American doctrine, you've got to get it up to the next level after that. What was that, like level 6? Okay, before you get this airlift capability. And it's kind of frustrating because you can't get your tanks to the front lines quick enough. And so that's why I stopped using tanks, because if you look at these AFVs, just like in the European doctrine, they get the airlift capability at this point in time. Okay, at level 4. And so then I can just put these up to level 4, and I don't have to worry about upgrading these. I can worry about my other units because I have the ability to airlift. Okay, and so that's usually one of my top priorities. But again, as you see, I went for the air superiority first. You always want to have your air superiority, because even though they don't, and this is the most important reason why I use air superiority, is that when you look at this here, it only does like 2 damage. But look at what damage it does to the cities. So for example, let's say we were attacking, who is this? This is Peru. Okay, so let's say we were attacking Peru. Where's Peru's capital city? So he's a noob, and he probably only has an airbase here. See, so as you can see, he has a level 1 airbase, a barracks, arms industry, and the natural harbor that comes in there. But when I decide I want to come attack him, what I can do is use my air superiority, because it's not going to do any damage to the building. Well, once I take out that unit, then I send 1 unit in, and if you go and you look here, so what kind of damage is infantry going to do? And you can go in here and look real quickly and see that it does 0.1 to buildings. So because it does 0.1 to buildings, that means that it's going to preserve that airbase. So now you can start using it. You might have to spend a couple hundred components to repair it. It's in your best interest to repair it, because once an airbase becomes damaged, your time to refuel increases. So you want to repair the building, and you want to be able to do it with as less as possible. And so if you want to be able to move through and not have to spend a lot of resources on the On air bases, you're going to want to use your air superiorities for that, which is one of the primary reasons, because on a rare occasion, I get somebody that has air superiority fighters, and I usually get my butt kicked, but I usually have so many by that time, or I have the way to be able to mass produce them that I can quickly catch up, and I lose a lot, but I can still compete, because I usually like to get them up here to level 4, and then unless somebody else has them, I won't upgrade to the higher levels. I don't see the reason in it, because a lot of people like to go straight after strikers. And here's the thing with me. So I'm going after this striker, yes. Okay. But my goal is going to be to upgrade it here so that I can have a level 2. I can have a level 2 naval striker. Now, there's 2 reasons why you want a naval striker. Is because it gives you an extra point. So this same level over here, this level 4 striker, would give you 6 points instead of 7. Okay. But the thing is that you're getting like 2.5 to 4 points on the naval part, on the ship part, whereas you're getting 7 with the Navy. And again, you want to be able to have all of your defense to be able to have a secondary purpose of protecting you from naval bombardment. If you integrate that into your start, it will help you. It will help you survive in the later games when people that have taken time to build their military come after you. Well, you have enough repulsion weapons that you can at least keep them at bay and protect what it is that you have and not necessarily lose the game. Okay. So as far as technology goes, this is what I do. This is where I go. This is why I go there. Also, I am going to go with destroyers, cruisers, and I have started using officers. And if I have low on the rare metals, what I like to do is research an officer and then just put that into my arsenal. I'm doing it on another server. I'm still trying it out, seeing how it works. But as far as this goes, I haven't gotten that far yet. Again, I'm only on day 3, and as you can see, I'm close to 100 points. So as Mexico, I am at 112 points. So at 112 points, that has put me at number 2, right behind Germany. And I just moved up there from like spot number 8. So that's just new because the server just switched over at midnight. So all the stuff that I have conquered, I'm finally getting credit for. All right. And so these are, as you see, already by day 3, day 4, I'm already at the top of the server. I have 112 points. So I've gained about 30 points. And I am now moving up the food chain. And the thing is my goal is to pass Germany and double the points of the next guy below me. That way, because here's another benefit by getting off to a strong start like this, is that you get the ability to intimidate people with just your points, your numbers, how big you are. People see you coming and sometimes they'll just quit. Or they will come to a certain point where they think that they've lost and then they'll just quit. And so the 2 things that are always going to be to your benefit is you're always never give up. Okay? Never give up to the end. I got my butt beat by Egypt yesterday. I was actually trying to take on more than I could take, but I wanted to see if I was smart enough to be able to outmaneuver them. And quite frankly, it wasn't a smarts thing, it was a numbers thing, and I lost the numbers game because I took on 2 decently strong countries at the same time with no help. Whereas with the United States, you could see Cuba and I collaborated to take it together. Okay, so if you want to know how to be able to get off to a fast start, these are the things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to compile your units. So again, I don't remember if I said this or not, but you're going to want to make sure that you are building your recon units in every city. So let's say you don't want to attack for the first day. Okay? Let's say you don't want to attack for the first day, and you're like, you know what, first 3, 4 days, I'm not going to attack, because I never used to attack until about the fourth or fifth day, because I always wanted a couple of days to be able to get a couple extra units so that I could get a lot more out of them. And so what I started doing is in all my cities where I don't have recon vehicles, I build a recon vehicle. All the cities that have a recon vehicle, which is one or two of them, I put an infantry in there, and I start building at one air superiority fighter. That's kind of how I start my game, because as soon as that first batch of units is done, I'm combining. So I have, if I have 7 cities or 6 cities, I'm combining all 6 cities into 3 separate divisions, and then I'm attacking. So as you see here, what I did is I went up through here, and I went up and I took St. Louis. And the thing is St. Louis, because of the way the rivers are, it's a choke point. So if he's going to come back and take back any of his territory, he's got to come from St. Louis. Also, I sent people over here to LA, and then I sent a little expeditionary force over here just to kind of look and see what's going on. But because we did a collaborated attack, because the attack was collaborative, we were able to do a lot more damage and disable him a lot quicker. So if you are in a coalition and you are a fast starter or you are aggressive, you should definitely see if you can find other players that are very similar to you and get in a coalition with them, or open up dialogue, because at the end of the game, you guys are going to be the top players, the guys that are going to win. This game does not reward those people that want to sit back and play defense all day long. You can't play defense. This is an offensive game. I can outproduce you because I have more resources. And if I have twice as many resources, which means I can produce twice as much as you can, then that means that you are already at a disadvantage. So if you, as an individual, are not expanding quickly, you run the risk of getting behind and then getting overwhelmed because you're too busy. Oh, I want to upgrade my units. Oh, I want to build a bunch of units. The thing is everybody starts with the same units. There are 2 cities, if you have 6 or 7 cities, there are 2 cities that have recon units. There's 1 city with an artillery and 2 infantry. There are 3 cities with 3 to 4 cities with 2 infantry in it. And then in your homeland city, your capital city, everybody has an air superiority fighter. So if you all have the same units, it's all about condensing them. The thing is a lot of people that want to play defense is they don't condense their units and put themselves in defensive position. So if people cross their borders that they can protect themselves, no, they leave their units in their cities, and instead of combining it into like the front 3 cities that you are most likely going to get attacked, you're now spread out, because now you're trying to protect all your cities instead of the most important ones. And and that makes a huge difference. I have been where I was attacking one country. My neighbor decided to attack me because he saw me as being vulnerable. I knew he was going directly for my capital city because I watched the way that his troops were moving. And so I put all of my units in the capital city. He set everything he had at my capital city. And although I lost everything except for my capital city, because I killed all of his units, I was not only able to take over the other country that I've been attacking, I was able to take him over. And next thing you know, I'm sitting at about 500 to 700 points on like day 5. This is what happens. And this is kind of how you can grow. It's about being able to stop the other guy and still be able to run offense. I always try and run at least 2 battlefronts at the same time. That way, if you have a bunch of people that try and get together and they try and collaborate against you, they're going to have to split their forces between your forces. And they're going to have to kind of like pick where their battles are. So the more that you can spread your enemy out, the harder it is for them to defend against you. And you also want to make sure that you're striking at choke points, areas that are going to force them to come through you. And the thing is, and one thing that I want to point out, and I point this out in a lot of videos, but something I really want to point out and point out time and time again is even as a level 1, if I'm in a defensive position, I get 3.8 points. If you're in an attacking position, you get 3 points. At the end of the day, I win, even if I have 2 units. That's the reason why you got to outnumber them to go and take a city, is because you either get the defensive points or you get the offensive points. You don't get the attack plus this in defense. Otherwise, the game really wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't have any losses. So this seems to be the way that they've made up for it. Other games, they kind of use these in tandem to give you a number, but the way that this game does it is you get an either or. Okay, and there is an order of operations in which the units attack. So if you've ever played something like Civilization, they use what's called the CIA method: cavalry over infantry, infantry over artillery, artillery over cavalry, and so it's a circle, and that's the order of operations in which the units attack. So if you want to be able to, structure a battle a certain way, you at least understand the algorithm so that you can put your units in there. A lot of the time, at least with this game, there is a method. I just haven't figured it out yet. And when I figure it out, I will definitely tell you that. I hope this helps you understand how to be able to have a faster start to a game. I hope that you learned something here, and I hope that you find value in this. If you think that this channel is for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. It helps me in the YouTube algorithm so other people can see this. One of the main things that I always hear from people that give me feedback is that I have a unique way of viewing and dealing with these things. So if you really like a unique view on how to be able to create strategy and have a free-flowing strategy in your game, this might be the channel for you. I will see you guys on my next video.